Today we're going to look at this clock, this little mess here. This happens to be an RC 7469 Panasonic. We're going to look at the stringing of this clock. Something that I recommend that you not do unless you just absolutely have to. But I'm going to show you how to de-string the radio tuner, and then how to restring it. It is going to be a long video and probably only of interest to you if you are in the middle of trying to fix this and didn't take movies. So you see, this is we're turning that all the way over to the right. This spring here holds these two strings that come off, and we're going to try to get an idea of how they work on this wheel. But first we'll kind of follow the path here. You see the string comes, hits that first wheel on the bottom, goes over the outside of the wheel there, and then it hits the knob post there for the tuner. And if you look close, you'll see it's like four strings, 4 rows of the string. And it starts from the back and then goes counterclockwise and wraps around. You'll see that is the same here as well. Starts at the back, wraps around 4 times, and here as well. So it's not 4 complete turns, but if you look at some point on the very top, you'll see 4 strings, and that's how you know you've done the correct number of winds. Okay, so it goes on the outside of that small wheel there, on the top of that wheel, on the outside of this wheel here, and then back to the spring wheel here. So we're going to see that the string from the left there wraps on the wheel, and it follows the outside or closest to the top, and then comes into that spring there. It is the right side of the spring there. That string on the right comes from the left. The string on the left goes around. It stays next to the wheel closest to us. I don't know whether to call it the top or the bottom, because it's actually the bottom of the clock, but wraps around, goes around again, so it wraps around twice. Anyway, we'll get to look at that in a little more detail in a minute, but first we're going to just de-string it. So we've got to loosen our spring here. Again, if there's any other way to restore your clock than to do this, I would recommend it. And if you're doing this or any other clock, taking a video like this or even just pictures will really help you. So here's the string on the right side, and you'll see that it goes over to the left. It's one simple half wrap around that wheel. That is when you have the wheel turned all the way to the right, like this one is. You see the string here on the left comes off, goes around, kind of like wraps twice before it goes up and over to the right. Alright, now if you look here, you're not going to be able to unwind it there. So you'll have to go and unwind it from the reverse. Now when we string it, we'll start from up top there. So we just loosen it here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And each one of these are these dials here are the AM and FM tuner dials. That's what that is. So 4 wraps there, and if you count the top wrap, that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you see that's how. So we just got to do that in reverse, which is easier said than done. There is a trick to it, and with trial and error, I'm going to show you a good way, maybe not the only way, but a good way to get things back together that'll actually give you a working clock. Now you look at this ridiculous mess. You are in for it now. Now, it holds its shape. It's like it's a waxed string, and I'm pretty sure it's probably what it is. It's waxed because it holds its stiffness. And you'd think we'd want to leave those loops in there so we could know where everything was wrapped, but I'll tell you that doesn't work very well. So I'll spend the time to unwrap that. This is a simple knot that that spring hooks onto. And I said I'll spend a little hey, it's a heart. I'll spend a little time unwrapping this. and it actually is 28 inches, a 28-inch loop. That's a 56-inch piece of string. You'll need some kind of pick, really. You're going to need a pick and some tape. But beyond that, you're just going to need a lot of patience. You see, the string has no give in it at all. It's not elastic at all. And like I said, it's kind of a waxy coating. Alright, so you get as many of the kinks out of it as you can. And you do want to go ahead and attach it here to get started. We know that one string goes to the right. And we're going to aim to that wheel over there, just like that. See, it's half turn when the tuner wheel's turned all the way to the right. Now, the string that's starts on the left is going to go to the right. You're going to have to go under that string. You see, I don't know if you noticed that, but I went under that string. We're going to go around again, and again I'm going to have to go under that string. Well, you'll see here, just try to give you an idea here that it is wrapped around a time and a half on the left. I guess you could say time and a half. And it can get in a mess at this point. So let me go under this string here. Don't worry about it being exact. We will go back and forth here and see, yes, it does turn the wheel. So that's how you know you've got it on there right. And we'll get it squared away a little later. So this one's going to go over here to this wheel. And we'll go ahead, once the wheel's turned all the way to the right, as it is now, we'll go ahead and tape it down. That's going to make it a lot easier to work on as we go. So over the top of this wheel to the outside of this wheel. And you'll notice I'm keeping tension on it all along the way. Makes it a lot easier. You really need to kind of watch your placement of your hands. And 3 and 4. And again, you'll notice I'm still keeping tension on different places, and you'll double check. Two full wraps, but like I said, at the top you'll see 4 strings. You'll be able to count 4 strings. And keeping tension on it, making sure it's over to the right before I get too far ahead of myself. Everything's secure there. Okay, over to the right. Now, these tuner knobs, that's kind of where it would be, that little indicator there. Don't worry about that right now. We'll make it a fine adjustment on that later. So there's 1. You count that as the 1 as it's on the top. 1, 2. And I'm trying to go from back to front. And keeping tension on it all the while. So we end up again just making sure the strings are kind of lined up from back to front. And if I look on top, I see 4 strings from back to front. And again, throughout this, I'll go through and try to get the strings lined up a little better. Again, you see I'm keeping tension on it with my left hand there. Okay, and if you haven't noticed, the tuner knob, there's a little cap that goes on top of that. It's missing, and it just pops right on there. It's no big deal. There's 1. You count it. The first one is 1. There's 2. Let's just say every time you pass the top, you count. You'll know if you've done it right because you're going to run out of string here if you don't do it right. And about right now, anyway, I'm starting to get tight on string because we're getting towards the end. I'm going to go ahead and use my little finger there and pop that string out from underneath that tape because it's done its job and I can still hold tension. There's the 4th. We go over that wheel and double checking. Yep. And pretty much now I know I've got it anyway because I don't have much room to go. Everything's in line. Okay, and then over the top of this wheel. Okay, then you run out of string. Now, so we'll double check here. We'll make sure it's turned to the right again. Okay, now this is where that spring. That's why you have a spring here. Now, if you watch that spring, as I pull this down. Keep your eye about right there. You see how the spring will pull out, and then it holds the tension on that string. So you can make an adjustment. You don't want to do that a whole lot, but because it turns on them strings, but it isn't going to bother anything. And again, we just kind of uncross the strings when they're crossed where they're not supposed to be. And that shouldn't be a problem if you follow the winding pattern. Now, if you did it wrong, you'll know, and it'll knot up and it won't turn. Don't wait to assemble your clock to find that out. You'll want to test it, of course. And as you see, both tuner knobs are turning. That's full to the left, full to the right. Now, if you remember from the beginning, the strings came off. They both were supposed to be up closest to us here, and you can see this one on the left. You may not be able to see that, but it isn't quite right. It's kind of got this one wrapped over top of it. So this is where this pick comes in handy. Just kind of getting the strings lined up the way they're supposed to be. Again, they come off the spring, and both of them are closest to us, like that. And you follow it around. And it does go around the outside. And then it goes up to that top wheel. And that's it. That's how it's done.
When you get the time, come visit us at flipclockfans.com.